we choose relating to the date or the time of the day we're doing the show. I have received a lot of feedback and questions and feedback on the last show we did on rape. So some people, in the last show, I made some comments saying that the responsibility of the rape does not fall onto a woman, whether she is not wearing proper clothing, whether she is not modestly dressed, whether she's out in the dark, whether she's drunk, whatever is happening to her. My stand and my discourse talked about the rapist being responsible. So many people have asked why I do not hold any woman accountable for rape, even when she is doing things that she should not be doing. So in answer, I just want to clarify, my dear viewers, that when a man or a person commits rape, that rape and that manner of rape is a problem within that person. It's a psyche of that person. It's a psychology. And a person that will rape is not concerned whether a woman is dressed modestly or whether she's wearing the hijab or she's covered or whether she's out in the night or whether she's not out in the night. A rapist will rape a woman when he gets a chance. So we have to establish and understand that the psyche of a rapist is such that that rapist will indulge in rape whenever he believes that he can get away with rape. तो सवाल मुझसे ये किया गया कि मैंने अपने डिस्कोर्स में लास्ट टाइम ये कहा था कि कोई औरत, चाहे वो कपड़े मुख्तसर पहनी हुई हो, चाहे वो रात को निकली हुई हो, चाहे जो भी उसका बिहेवियर चाहे गैर इस्लामी ही क्यों ना हो, मगर उस पर रेप की जिम्मेदारी आयद नहीं होती। तो कई लोगों ने ये सवाल उठाया है कि आप उनको क्यों नहीं उस औरत को कुछ जिम्मेदारी दे रही। तो मैं जवाब में ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि जो रेप करता है इंसान, वो इंसानियत का दुश्मन होता है, वो एक किसी की इज्जत का डाकू होता है। उस डाकू को जब मौका मिलेगा वो रेप करेगा। उसको ये कंसर्न नहीं है कि ये औरत हिजाब में है या ये औरत इस्लामी कपड़े लिबास में है क्या नहीं, या ये औरत गैर इस्लामी लिबास में है। ये बातों से वो रेपिस्ट चेक में नहीं आएगा। दिस इज नॉट व्हाट दैट रेपिस्ट इज कंसर्न्ड अबाउट। वो जो इज्जत का डाकू होता है, जब उसको मौका लगेगा वो ये वार करेगा। So we do need to understand the psyche of a rapist. You cannot blame the victim for the rape. Yes, I will encourage all women out there, all girls, all women to dress modestly. I will encourage them to follow all the Islamic rules and laws. But I will not consider them responsible if they were not following the Islamic dress code, or if they were drinking, or they were doing anything un-Islamic. I will still not hold them responsible for the rape. So I do want to make that stand clear. Please understand that a rapist is not concerned with women who are Islamic or un-Islamic or what they do. The rapist is only concerned with satisfying his undesirable feelings, satisfying his sexual lust. A rapist is a very, it's like an affront to humanity to rape someone, and that rapist is responsible for the rape, and the victim is never responsible for the rape. The other thing, somebody asked me because this is also a big burning topic nowadays, what I believe should be the punishment for rape. So in my personal opinion, and if we look at it from the Quranic point of view, that also supports this, that I do believe that public capital punishment should be awarded to the rapist, because then that will be a deterrent to other people carrying the same lustful and terrible desires. So the Islamic punishments are not to do every day, but they are there to punish a few, so that will be a deterrent to others when they know and understand how tough the Islamic punishments are. If somebody promotes castration, then in my opinion, the castration should be physical and not chemical, and the castration should also come with cutting off of one hand and one foot on the other side, just like for the dacoit and for the gangway robber, because a person committing rape is not just a simple rapist, but that person is also robbing someone and and he's a dacoit of someone's honor and dignity. So the hands and feet should also be cut, and physical castration should be given. And in a lot of instances, public hanging and public capital punishment publicly should be given to deter other people from committing the crime. So the Islamic punishments are there as a deterrent. They are there to put the fear of God in people that will otherwise not follow the law and otherwise are not decent human beings who are trying to become better people. So that is my stand. Then somebody also asked us how Salahuddin Education Services will help if a woman has been raped or abused. If I have already said that if a woman or any person feels they are abused or they are downtrodden, you can call us. The numbers are flashing up on the screen. It's 484-356-4372. Let us know. We'll do our best to hook you up with legal counsel to get you your legal rights. We also will try to see if you need to be out of the environment you're in, to place you in some kind of a shelter. We will offer whatever help that we can, and if we directly cannot help as an organization, then we will point you in the right direction, inshallah. So do not hesitate to call, whether your problem is sexual harassment or rape, or whether your problem is food and medicine and necessities. Salahuddin Education Services is a humanitarian group. And actually, while I'm mentioning Salahuddin Education Services, I am reminded of something. Our Vice President of Operation, Muhammad Umar Farooq, it's his birthday today. So Umar, a very happy birthday to you. May you live a long, happy, healthy life full of Iman and also full of love for others. And may you continue your service to humanity. We also have a few young Salahuddin Education Services volunteers. We recognize them from time to time. So their birthdays are around the corner. Tomorrow is Hafsa Zainab's birthday. She is turning 11, inshallah. Then in a few days, on the 5th, Hamza Ahmad is turning 9, I believe. And also in a few days, on October 4th, Iman Azima is turning 16, and I believe 17, actually. So all of these young people are supportive of Salahuddin Education Services. They send us their pocket monies. They call us. They want to support us. They want to help us. And all of you donors and supporters out there, I want to thank you and I want to recognize you, because the work that we are doing is not possible without your help. Now, the topic for the show today is divorce. But before I do that, as you remember, we always at Understanding Faith choose a current topic relating to the date or the time or something of significance. So actually, today we are celebrating World Heart Day. So today is actually the World Heart Day, and the World Heart Federation on this day especially is trying to encourage people to stay healthy, to avoid cardiovascular diseases, and to basically be really conscious of that, because cardiovascular diseases, heart diseases, are actually the #1 cause of death in the world. They and strokes, which are a direct result of that heart disease, are the #1 cause of death. And unfortunately, every year, 17.9 million cases of heart deaths are recorded every year. 17.9. That is not a small number, viewers. That's a big number. So I wanted to talk about the World Heart Day in terms of the Islamic perspective on health. So the first thing I want to say is that we have the life of Prophet ﷺ in front of us. We know that the Prophet ate very little. He ate very simple food. His famous hadith and quote is that, let me see what the source of that is. And his famous, it's in Tirmizi Sharif, the Prophet says that the worst container that a person can fill is a person's stomach. That's the worst container you can fill. And the Prophet said, when you eat, leave a third for the food, leave a third for your drink, and leave a third for breathing. So do not eat and drink to your fullest. Keep a third for your food, keep a third for your drink, and keep a third for your breathing. The Prophet also In another hadith, actually, Osama bin Sharik narrated that many of the desert Arabs or the Bedouin came to the Prophet and they said that, is it okay? Should we just read the Quran when we are inflicted with a disease, or should we actually seek medical treatment? And the Prophet said, you must seek medical treatment. And there are many sayings of the Prophet on medical treatment. There are many verses in the Quran that talk about protecting life and protecting your health and protecting your bodies. So the hadith that I will read from Ibn Sharik, Osama ibn Sharik says that the Prophet said, make use of medical treatment, for Allah has not made a disease without appointing a remedy for it except one, and that is old age. So the Prophet has always strongly upheld that medicine should be used for any treatment. And another hadith of the Prophet, or saying of the Prophet, is a strong believer is better than a weaker believer to Allah. So a strong believer is dearer to Allah than a weaker believer, but both are good. So, and the Prophet then further says, keenly pursue what benefits you, seek help from Allah only, and do not give up. So taking medicine and also doing abstaining from unhealthy habits, abstaining from tobacco, abstaining from greasy food, abstaining from no exercise and lack of walking. We have to, I don't know if any of you know this, you have to take at least 10,000 steps every day. 10,000 steps equals about 4 miles, and a normal average person must take 10,000 steps daily. There are many apps on that. There's an app called Steps, STEPZ, download it on your phone, and it records your steps and just tells you throughout the day how many steps you've taken. If you are taking less than 10,000 steps, then you need to step that up. And according to our faith, we have to try and be strong and able-bodied human beings to be able to help ourselves and also to be able to help others. Now, I do hear from a lot of people who say, oh, tobacco is not haram, it's only makruh, so it's okay to take tobacco. Yes, that is correct. From the fiqh point of view, that is correct, but we have to look at Islam as a whole. We cannot just take bits and pieces of Islam. And the first thing that comes to my mind when we talk about Islam and Islamic rulings is tazkiyah nafs, and self-discipline. So we do need to understand that just because tobacco is not completely haram, it doesn't mean that we want to take tobacco or we want to do something unhealthy. I never hear anybody saying, I hear people saying, oh, keeping a beard is sunnah of the Prophet. Oh, wearing a robe above your ankles is sunnah of the Prophet. But how come I don't hear people say that eating less is sunnah of the Prophet? Doing miswak all the time is sunnah of the Prophet. Keeping clean is sunnah of the Prophet. Why are we only focused on things that are suitable to us and easy for us to do? Why can we not do some of the more difficult things that the Prophet did? The biggest one of which is that he hardly ate. He hardly ate, and when he ate very little. He told the believers to keep a room for water, food, and breathing, but he himself did not even partake of a third of the food. Now, if we adopt the same habits as Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then the Muslim world will put an end to heart disease. Because in the Muslim world, we are known for overeating. Muslims also believe that, oh, meat is halal, so Muslims should eat a lot of meat. But I do want to say that, yes, meat is halal and the animals have been subjugated for human beings. And yes, to survive, we can kill animals and partake of their meat. But we need to also be conscious that while we're doing that, we need to observe self-discipline. We need to do everything in moderation. We can't overindulge ourselves. And when we do everything in moderation, then our health will be good and we will be able to defeat the heart disease, which is the #1 leading cause of death in this world. And that is according to the spirit and according to the injunctions of Islam as well. So it's time for a break, viewers. Please do not change the channel. Today we have a very short break because we started the show a little bit late. I'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back, viewers. Amna is here with your episode of Understanding Faith, and our topic today is divorce. Last time we covered rape, and we got a lot of feedback on it. And I do want to thank you for sending positive feedback and liking the show. I do apologize to anyone whose feelings are hurt if I say something that you do not agree with, but the channels of communication are always open, and I am always open to any correction. But when I do speak on any topic, I do try to do immense research, both Islamically, societally, and I try to do the research spiritually as well through maraqba and meditation. So when I do all of that, that's when I'm able to come in front of you and present a show. But we are always open to criticism and welcome the criticism. So when I want to talk about divorce because a lot of people approach me and they ask me questions on divorce. They also ask questions on the laws of divorce. So if you have any question on the law of divorce or idda or any of that relating to our lives in America, please ask away. Actually, the Quran talks about divorce at length in Surah Baqarah, Surah Talaq, and Surah Nisa, and actually some other verses as well. It's addressed a lot. And the reason why divorce is addressed a lot is because this is two different people interacting as husband and wife in the same house, coming from two different backgrounds, and they are coexisting or trying to coexist in a marriage. So when Allah talks about divorce so much and husbands and wives' rights over each other and the rights of divorce, or the duties and obligations of the man and his wife with relating to divorce, it actually tells me that what Allah is trying to do is teach us how to be with one another. A lot of times it's easy for a parent to love their child and to do things for their child and to sacrifice for their child. It's also not that difficult for a child to love his parents or siblings when they're growing up in the same household and to do certain things for them. But the most difficult relationship becomes that of husband and wife, because two different people coming from two different backgrounds, sometimes difference in economic situations, difference of languages, difference of cultures or subcultures, come together. So I think that the reason why Allah talks so much about divorce and people's rights in divorce is because Allah is trying to teach us how to be with each other. And because this is the relationship that is the closest relationship of people when you are a different individual and human being and you come into contact with another one. So basically, in the end, the reason why Allah has talked so much about divorce is because Allah is trying to make us uphold the hukukul ibadah or each other's rights. Hukuk al-Ibad and Hukuk al-Ibadah is a very, very important part of our religion, Islam. The Prophet ﷺ's life is full of Hukuk al-Ibad and stress on that. And the reason why Allah has discussed divorce and marriage and the rights and responsibilities of men and women towards each other and what course of actions they should take at length is because Allah is trying to make us understand how we need to be with each other or other people in our lives. And the toughest relationship is that between a husband and wife, because two people come from two different varying backgrounds, and when they come together, it is not always that easy to sacrifice, to compromise, and to understand each other, and to sacrifice and to give in to each other, and to bow your head and place your spouse before yourself. We all struggle with that because it's a lot easier to serve our parents and our children and our siblings who we're growing up with in a blood family than it is to serve a married family or acquired family. And then in that rights and obligations, besides the husband and wife, also come the rights and obligations of the spouse's family, the husband's family, wife's family, their relatives. And there's a lot of clashes in different cultures about it. So to sum up in Urdu, I just want to say, and I do hope viewers you would call in for this important topic, कि हमने आज का जो टॉपिक हमने चूज़ किया है वो तलाक के ऊपर है. और कुरान पाक में अल्लाह ताला ने बहुत सारी सूरतों में कोई एक दो आयतें नहीं मगर इन्यूमरस आयतें, सूरह बकरा में, सूरह तलाक में, सूरह निसा में और भी कुछ आयतें हैं, सूरतें हैं, उनके अंदर तलाक के ऊपर ज़िक्र किया है और तलाक के बारे में बड़ी डिटेल में लोगों को बताया है कि मर्द के क्या फ़राइज़ हैं, औरत के क्या फ़राइज़ हैं, किस तरह करना है, तलाक के बाद कस्टडी को किस तरह डील करना है, बच्चे की राइट्स क्या हैं. अल्लाह ताला ने ये बातें तलाक के लिए तो बताई हैं मगर इसके अंदर हमारे लिए एक बहुत बड़ा इशारा है और वो हुकूकुल इबाद का इशारा है, क्योंकि हम अपने माँ बाप और अपने बच्चों से तो प्यार कर लेते हैं और बहन भाई जब साथ ग्रो अप हो रहे हों तो भी वो एक दूसरे के साथ यूज्ड टू होते हैं, एक दूसरे के लिए कुर्बानी दे देते हैं, एक दूसरे का ख्याल रखते हैं. मगर जब दो इंसान एडल्टहुड में आते हैं, बालिग होते हैं और किसी और फैमिली के इंसान के साथ, औरत या मर्द के साथ आपका निकाह होता है, तो वो सबसे मुश्किल रिलेशन होता है हैंडल करना, क्योंकि एक गैर इंसान के लिए आप जब एक कुर्बानी देते हैं या उसको अपने से ज़्यादा मुकद्दम जानते हैं या उसकी ख्वाहिशात को अपने से ज़्यादा तरगीब देते हैं, तो ये सबसे एक मुश्किल रिलेशन बन जाता है और ये सबसे मुश्किल काम है. और इसीलिए आजकल आज की दुनिया में तलाक एक आम बात हो गई है और आए दिन तलाक़ें होती हैं. मर्द और औरत शादी करते हैं, फिर कुछ बच्चे उनके होते हैं, कुछ अरसे तक वो उन बच्चों को पालते हैं और उसके बाद ज़्यादातर केसेस में अलहदा हो जाते हैं और उनकी इंटरेस्ट अलग हो जाती हैं. वो एज दे ग्रो ओल्डर वो एक दूसरे के साथ हारमोनियसली सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाते, स्पेशली जब उनकी कॉमन इंटरेस्ट, उनके बच्चे वगैरह जवान हो जाते हैं, बड़े हो जाते हैं, तो वो अक्सर एक दूसरे से फ़रार का रास्ता ढूंढते हैं. तो अल्लाह ताला ने मेरी नज़र में तलाक़ के ऊपर जो इतनी डिटेल में बात की है, इससे हमें ये भी इशारा मिलता है कि अल्लाह ताला हुकूकुल इबाद के बारे में हमें कितनी ज़्यादा तरगीब दे रहे हैं. एक दूसरे के हुकूक जो मियाँ बीवी को निभाने होते हैं जो कि आसान काम नहीं है, अल्लाह ताला इन तमाम आयतों की तशरीह और इन तमाम आयतों के अंदर ये बातें इसलिए भी बता रहे हैं ताकि इंसान को ये एहसास हो कि हुकूकुल इबाद क्या चीज़ है और किस तरह से उसको दूसरे के साथ डील करना है. क्योंकि दूसरा इंसान जो होता है, जब वो शौहर या बीवी बनता है तो वो सबसे क्लोज रिश्ता बन जाता है, मगर फिर भी वो एक गैर से अपना बनने के प्रोसेस में आता है और फिर उसके बाद कई साल लग जाते हैं उस गैर को अपना समझने में और उसको अपना बनाने में. और इस काम के लिए मर्द या औरत दोनों को कुर्बानी देनी पड़ती है, बर्दाश्त करना पड़ता है, बहुत ज़्यादा एक दूसरे को इज्जत देनी पड़ती है और एक दूसरे को समझना पड़ता है. तो अल्लाह ताला तलाक के बारे में तो बता रहे हैं और मैरिड कपल के बारे में तो बता रहे हैं, मगर साथ में इस ان آیتوں کے تھرو ہمیں ایک دوسرے کے ساتھ، انسان کو دوسرے انسان کے ساتھ رہن سہن کی ترغیب بھی دی جا رہی ہے اور بتایا جا رہا ہے کہ وہ اسے کس طرح سے رہنا ہے، کیونکہ یہ بات فیکٹ ہے اور سچ ہے کہ جب ہمارے اندر سے خود غرضی ختم ہو جائے گی، جب ہم تمام انسان نیک بن جائیں گے، جب ہم دوسرے انسان کو خود پہ مقدم جانیں گے، جب ہم ہر کسی سے وہ پیار کریں گے جو ہم اپنے آپ سے کرتے ہیں، تو طلاق اور لڑائی اور جھگڑا اور فساد یہ سب کچھ ختم ہو جائے گا۔ یہ تمام چیزیں آتی ہی ہماری لائف میں اس لیے ہیں کیونکہ کوئی انسان بہت خود غرض ہو جاتے ہیں، یا وہ کمپرومائز پہ تیار نہیں ہوتے، یا پھر وہ اپنی انا کی وجہ سے اس ریلیشن شپ کو اتنی اہمیت نہیں دے پاتے۔ کبھی کبھی بہت جینوئن کیسز ہوتے ہیں جس میں واقعی ایک انسان اتنا خود غرض ہو جاتا ہے کہ دوسرے کا گزارا ناممکن ہے، اور تبھی اللہ تعالیٰ نے طلاق کی ہمیں اجازت دی ہے کہ طلاق ہو سکتی ہے۔ But I will go back to a saying of the Prophet which says that divorce is the worst of the legal things. اللہ تعالیٰ کے نزدیک جو قانونی چیزیں ہیں جو الاؤڈ ہیں اس میں سب سے بری چیز طلاق ہے، یعنی کہ ہمیں کوشش کرنی ہے کہ طلاق نہ ہو اور دونوں فریقین کو بے انتہا کمپرومائز اور سیکریفائس کر کے طلاق کو اوائڈ کرنا ہے۔ لیکن جب وہ نہیں کر پائیں گے تو اللہ تعالیٰ نے یہ راستہ دیا ہے کہ طلاق ہو سکتی ہے۔ تو یہ میں اس لیے یہ بات کہنا چاہ رہی تھی کیونکہ بہت سے لوگ کہتے ہیں کہ یہ طلاق کے بارے میں باتیں ہیں، یہ طلاق کے بارے میں تو یہ آیتیں ہیں، مگر اس میں ہمیں ہر انسان اور حقوق العباد کے بارے میں سمجھایا گیا ہے، ہمیں یہ سمجھایا گیا ہے کہ غیروں سے ہمارا کیا برتاؤ ہونا چاہیے، پڑوسیوں سے کیا برتاؤ ہونا چاہیے، جو ہمارے بلڈ ریلیشنز نہیں ہیں، ہمارے جو سسرال ہوتے ہیں یا شوہر کی فیملیز، بیوی کی فیملیز، ان کے ساتھ ہمارا برتاؤ کیسے ہونا چاہیے۔ تو جو انسان اللہ والا ہوتا ہے، جو انسان اچھا انسان ہوتا ہے، اس کو پتہ ہوتا ہے کہ اس کو کس طرح سے ہر ایک کے ساتھ چلنا ہے، کیونکہ اس کو پتہ ہوتا ہے کہ اس کو ہر رشتہ عزت اور محبت اور بخوبی نمٹانا ہے اور نبھانا ہے۔ لیکن جو انسان خود غرض ہوتا ہے، جو انسان صرف اپنے بارے میں سوچتا ہے، جس کا غصہ ہمیشہ غالب رہتا ہے، وہ ہمیشہ یہ چاہتا ہے کہ سب میری ہی خدمت کریں اور سب انسان مجھے ہی، جتنے لوگ میرے آس پاس ہیں، چاہے میرے گھر والے ہوں، چاہے میرا سسرال ہو، وہ میری ہی سیوا کرے یا میری ہی خدمت کرے۔ تو جہاں پر بہت زیادہ خود غرضی چھا جائے گی، دوسرا جو اسپاؤس ہے وہ بہت عرصے تک اس چیز کو نبھا نہیں پائے گا اور پھر لا محالہ طلاق کی صورت میں بات آ جائے گی۔ مگر طلاق سے بھی پہلے میں قرآن پاک کی ایک آیت کوٹ کرنا چاہوں گی جو شادی کے اوپر ہے، کہ اللہ تعالیٰ نے شادی کا جو انسٹیٹیوشن ہے وہ کیوں بنایا ہے، کیسے بنایا ہے، اور اس کے بعد طلاق کے اوپر بہتیری آیتیں ہیں، مگر ایک آدھ آیتیں آئی تھنک آئی شوڈ سے، بیکاز اس کے اندر اس بات کا جسٹ یا اس بات کا نچوڑ موجود ہے۔ Some of the verses I want to quote have the gist of what a person's role has to be if the marriage is not working out. So first, let me go to the verse that will talk about, I believe it's in Rum, Surah Rum, which is the 30th chapter in, let me see which ayah it is. It's, I believe, the 21st ayah. And it says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. So God is saying, and among his signs and in this is this, that he created for you mates from amongst yourselves, that you may dwell in tranquility with them. And he has put love and mercy between you and their hearts. And verily in that are signs for those who reflect. So in Urdu it translates to کہ اللہ تعالیٰ نے تمہارے اپنی ہم جنس بیویاں بنائی ہیں تاکہ تم ان سے سکون حاصل کر سکو، اور تمہارے اور ان کے درمیان پیار اور محبت کا رشتہ قائم کر دیا گیا ہے، اور یہ اللہ تعالیٰ کی نشانیاں ہیں اگر تم اس پر غور کرو۔ تو اللہ تعالیٰ نے for procreation, for men and women to procreate and for human beings and mankind to grow, the institution of marriage has been formed because Allah does not want us to indulge in any sexual relations outside of marriage. So the institution of marriage is very important, and it is not just for procreation. Allah is saying that if you are a smart person in that mate, you have peace, you have tranquility, you have love, you find a comfort in that person. Another verse of the Quran I'm thinking of, it says, "Hunna libasul lakum wa antun libasul lahun." They are men to men and women. It says they are your garments and your garment, because a garment is something the closest to us. Our dress and our garment is closest to us. So just like that, a husband and wife are very close to each other, both physically and mentally, and they protect each other and they help each other and they guard each other's secrets and they become a shield for each other. So Allah has made the institution of marriage for us to enjoy our lives, for us to have a companion at all times. Because everybody in the end goes off. If we have loving siblings, they will go off and get married. And if we have friends, they have their own lives, their own husband or wife. So we need to find or believe in the institution of marriage and do nikah and have our own mate. However, of course, if for whatever reason or some extreme reason that marriage breaks up, then God has allowed us to be divorced and allowed divorce in our lives. And I want to say that, I have said earlier that there are so many verses of the Quran that talk about divorce. But the gist of those verses is that please do not hurt each other in that divorce. Do not hurt each other. Do not use the divorce to topple each other's lives over, and do not use it to make mischief for each other. Because a lot of people, when one party decides to divorce and the other doesn't want divorce, the other party becomes very vengeful. If you do not want the other person to divorce, then you have to try to win them over with love and kindness. You have to win your spouse over with love, kindness, and sacrifice. You cannot threaten them with spousal support and child support. You cannot make threats unto your spouse. You have to win them over with love and kindness. But anyway, do call into us. We will continue our discussion. I'm being told I have to take a break. It'll be a very short break. We will be right back in just about a minute. Inshallah, I'll see you after the break. Welcome back, viewers. After the break, we're discussing divorce in Islam. And before I go back to the subject of divorce, I have just received a few messages from the viewers. One person is asking, there are actually two dreams people have asked me to interpret. If you remember through this show, we also interpret your dreams. And actually, you can call the number, the TV1 number on the screen, but even after the show ends, the number, we do take your calls and the number is forwarded to my phone. So you are welcome to call even after the show if you have a dream to discuss or any question that you want to discuss at length. So the first question that I have, the first dream that somebody's asking me to interpret it, that this lady is asks us that she and her husband are having a lot of marital problems, and she's constantly sees in her dream that he is divorcing her and she's getting divorced. So actually, the answer to that, my dear sister, is that you will not get divorced. Usually, when you see something in a dream and you keep seeing the result of that result that you're seeing, it'll be the opposite of that. So that is in 95% of the cases, that is the answer. Sometimes the dream may not mean what I'm saying, but 95% of the cases, if you're having marital problems, you're fearing divorce, but in your dream you keep saying that you have been divorced, then that divorce will not finalize, inshallah, and inshallah you will be able to work things out with your spouse. So I'm glad that your dream was related to divorce. The second dream that I've been asked to interpret is also relating to divorce. Somebody has asked us, a brother has asked, that he saw himself, he loves his wife very much, but he saw in his dream that he is divorcing his wife, and he is very worried as to why he saw that dream. So my dear brother, the meaning of that, and again, it's going to be the same for at least 95 to 97 people that have seen that dream. The meaning of that is that you will have a job change. It does not mean that you will divorce your wife. The meaning of that is that you will have a job change, but your job change might be a lesser position than you're currently on. That is the meaning of divorcing your wife in a dream, that you may have a job change, and the job change may be a lesser position job than what you have currently. But again, I will remind everybody that we have to know and understand that all of this is from Allah. Allah also gives us these dreams to clue us into our near future. When you send me your dreams, please do also give me the time that you wake up every day and the time that you saw the dream, so I can tell you at what time frame to expect that, because I did not receive that with these dreams. But overall, these are the answers to your dreams. Now, going back to our topic of divorce, as I said, there are innumerable verses of the Quran on that, but what I'd like to do is do the one that really kind of sums it up for men and women as to how they have to be. And that is from Surah Baqarah, which is chapter 2, and it's verse 231. And that says, وَإِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ فَبَلَغْنَ أَجَلَهُنَّ فَأَمْسِكُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ سَرِّحُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ وَلَا تُمْسِكُوهُنَّ ضِرَارًا لِتَعْتَدُوا وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ فَقَدْ ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ وَلَا تَتَّخِذُوا آيَاتِ اللَّهِ هُزُوًا وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَمَا أَنزَلَ عَلَيْكُم مِّنَ الْكِتَابِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ يَعِظُكُم بِهِ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. So the translation of that is, when you divorce women and they fulfill the term of their iddah, either take them back on equitable terms or set them free on equitable terms. But do not take them back to injure them, nor take undue advantage of them. If anyone does that, he wrongs his own soul. Do not treat Allah's signs as a jest, but solemnly rehearse Allah's favors onto you and the fact that He sent down the book and wisdom for your instruction, and fear Allah, for Allah is well acquainted with all things. So in this ayah, and I will also give a general Urdu transliteration of it, that Allah is saying that जब औरतों को तलाक दो तो उसके बाद या तो उन्हें भले तरीके से रोक लो या उन्हें भले तरीके से जाने दो, उनके साथ बाहिमी तस्फिया कर लो, और equitable terms यानी कि एक दूसरे के साथ बाहिमी एक दूसरे के हुकूक के ऊपर फैसला कर लो कि किसकी क्या ड्यूटी होगी, कौन क्या रोल अदा करेगा, اور ایک دوسرے کا کوئی ناجائز فائدہ نہ اٹھاؤ اور ایک دوسرے کو تنگ نہ کرو، اور واپس شادی اس لیے قائم نہ کرو کہ ان کو تکلیف دو۔ یہ نہ کرو کہ اگر عورت کو طلاق دے دی تو اس سے ریکنسیلیشن یا صلح اس لیے کر رہے ہو تاکہ اس کو اپنی قید میں رکھو، یا اس کو آزادی سے روکنے کے لیے، یا اس ڈر سے کہ وہ کسی سے نکاح کر لے گی اسے تنگ کرنے کے لیے نہ روکو۔ اور پھر اللہ تعالیٰ کہہ رہے ہیں کہ اللہ تعالیٰ کے احسانوں کو یاد کرو جو اس نے تم پر کیے ہیں، اور اس نے تمہیں اس قابل بنایا کہ تم شادی کر سکو، تمہیں اسپاؤس عطا کیا، اور جب اسپاؤس اللہ تعالیٰ عطا کرتے ہیں چاہے وہ ہسبینڈ یا وائف ہے تو وہ بھی اللہ کی ایک نعمت ہوتے ہیں۔ اور ان دی اینڈ یہ ساری بات ہماری نیت پر چلی جاتی ہے کہ ہم کس نیت سے کیا کر رہے ہیں۔ تو ہمیں اپنی نیت درست رکھنی ہے، شادی کو بچانے کی ہر ممکن کوشش کرنی ہے، اور اگر شادی کو بچا نہیں سکتے تو پھر طلاق پہ اگر معاملہ آتا ہے تو اس پہ اللہ تعالیٰ نے کہا ہے کہ دونوں فریقین، یہ بھی سب قرآن پاک کے اندر موجود ہے کہ دونوں پارٹیز کا ایک کونسل مقرر کر دو یا فریق مقرر کر دو، اور بیٹھ کر تصفیہ کر لو آپس میں ایک دوسرے کے حقوق کا، ایک دوسرے کو تنگ کرنے کے غرض سے اس کو ساتھ میں نہ رہو۔ یہ نہ سوچو، اگر یہ سمجھتے ہو کہ ایک دوسرے کے حقوق ادا نہیں کر سکتے تو پھر ایک دوسرے کے ساتھ عزت کے ساتھ علیحدہ ہو جاؤ۔ تو اللہ تعالیٰ نے اس میں ہمیں ایک بہت پیارا حقوق العباد کا سبق دیا ہے، اور یہ بتایا ہے کہ جب بھی ہمارا کوئی بھی ریلیشن ہو، چاہے وہ بزنس ریلیشن ہو، وہ کسی فرینڈ، کوئی ہماری دوست ہو، یا ہمارے کوئی بھی فرینڈز ہوں، فیملی فرینڈز ہوں، رشتہ دار ہوں، نیبرز ہوں، ہمیں ہر حالت میں ایک دوسرے کے ساتھ کمپرومائز کر کے ڈیل کرنا ہے، ایک دوسرے سے باہمی حقوق پر تصفیہ کرنا ہے، اور ڈیسائیڈ کرنا ہے کہ کس کا کیا رول ہے، کس کا کیا حق ہے، کس کی کیا ڈیوٹی ہے۔ اگر ہم یہ کام نہیں کر سکتے یا تصفیہ کسی بھی میٹر میں ہمارا نہیں ہو سکتا تو پھر ہمیں اس معاملے کے ساتھ عزت سے علیحدہ ہونا ہوتا ہے، چاہے وہ شادی کا انسٹیٹیوشن ہو، چاہے وہ کوئی پارٹنرشپ ہو بزنس کی، چاہے وہ کوئی بھی فرینڈشپ ہو، ریلیشن ہو۔ جب ہمیں پتہ ہوتا ہے کہ ہم ایک انسان کے ساتھ فیئر نہیں ہو سکتے تو ہمیں یہ بتایا جا رہا ہے کہ اس کے ساتھ طریقے کے ساتھ الگ ہو جاؤ۔ تو ان دی اینڈ ان ساری آیتوں اور اس کے اوپر بے انتہا آیتیں ہیں، پھر عدت کے اوپر آیتیں ہیں کہ اللہ تعالیٰ فرما رہے ہیں مردوں کو ایکچولی یہ کہا جا رہا ہے کہ عدت کے بعد ان کو نہ، عورتوں کو نہ روکو شادی کرنے سے، اگر وہ اپنی پسند کے شوہر تجویز کرنا چاہیں تو یہ ان کا رائٹ ہے۔ If women want to marry after the divorce, this is their right. And then God is also saying that even if you've given them the mahar or the dower, even if it's a kula, if you can let that go, even if the woman wants the kula, because kula is usually the process by which a woman kind of buys her freedom or compensates the man or gives back the mahar. But Allah Ta'ala is saying, God is saying in the Quran that, look, be kind and good to each other. So if you can let go of that mahar, let her have it. If you can't let go of the whole thing, let her have what you can do. So that is talking about spousal support that they do nowadays. And God is also talking about counsel and coming together and discussing and having a dialogue. So the one thing I will say is, and this is so applicable to today's society, people get really angry, they get emotional, and then there is a divorce that happens, and then somebody, especially in the Muslim culture, because it is relatively easier to pronounce divorce, you just have to say, I divorce thee, and then a minor divorce happens, then you still have the option to reconcile, or after a certain period passes, you can remarry. But after twice of doing this, the third time it's final, and then the woman cannot marry the man unless, of course, she's married to somebody else. And then she lives with him, and then she's divorced, and then goes back to the first husband. So I do want to mention one more thing, that in the pagan, because a lot of people question some of these things about the 3 times divorce. So I just want to mention that in pagan Arab, in pre-Islamic Arab, the men divorced women several times and then took them back. So they repudiated their marriage, they abandoned their marriage, they left these women and then brought them back into their lives, and they kept them in a limbo. They kept them, they couldn't marry, they couldn't leave the husband, they didn't know if they couldn't be with the husband. So when Islam limited divorce to 3 times, it was actually fighting that pagan principle of unlimited times divorce. So Allah made it 3 times, with the third time being the final one when you cannot take your wife back. And with allowing for the first 2 times, considering that human beings are emotional or they make a mistake. So after 2 times, allowing the marriage to happen again. So please do not think that Islam is allowing to marry, to divorce several times and then to take the woman back. It's not like that. This was a pagan custom that Islam stopped. And because Islam is a religion of wisdom, and because the Prophet ﷺ knew how to combat this and how to deal with it, because when he brought Islam, women were disrespected. Everything was the opposite of good. It was all evil and mischief, and especially women were treated as second-class citizens and they had no rights. So Islam actually gave women the protection to marry, to get the mahar, to get the dower, to get child support, to get all of those rights that they never had before. So it was actually a pagan practice that was stopped and restricted, because Allah restricted it to 2 times, and then with the 3rd time it becomes final. You cannot marry the same person again, with the condition that then she has to remarry somebody else, and then once he divorces her, if she's divorced, then she can go back to the first husband. So these things are not barbaric or bad. They were actually done to prevent the abuse and exploitation of women, but also considering the reality of divorce, that people do divorce and then regret it. Women do that and regret. Men do that and regret. So Allah did allow twice for the reconciliation, and also during the iddah period, or during the period of abstinence, to do ruju, or to go back to the wife and to go back to the husband. And if they do not form relations within that time, to then remarry after that. So they can still remarry, but if they do this too many times, if they do it 2 times, they're allowed, but on the 3rd time, they will not be able to just get back together in marriage. So it was a pagan custom that Islam reformed and refined and revised. And it was revised for the protection of women. So I do want the non-Muslim audience also to understand that we do have American viewers for the show. That's why we do the show mainly in English, but we do also translate everything in Urdu. तो मैं ये कहना चाह रही थी, मैंने ये बताया है कि अल्लाह ताला ने बहुत सारी बातें ये मुख्तलिफ आयतों में बताई हैं, सूरह तलाक में, सूरह रूम में, सूरह बकरा में, सूरह निसा में, और इनका एक ही निचोड़ है कि एक दूसरे की टेक केयर करो, एक दूसरे के साथ बाहमी मोहब्बत से रहो, एक दूसरे के साथ कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ करके सुलह करो, और अपने हुकूक में आपस में तस्फिया करो कि किसका क्या रोल है। जहाँ पर मर्दों का ताल्लुक़ है, अगर औरतें काम कर रही हैं तो मर्दों को भी अंडरस्टैंड करना पड़ेगा कि अगर औरत घर से बाहर भी काम कर रही है तो घर के काम में वो उसका हाथ बटाए। इसी तरह अगर औरत हाउस वाइफ है तो उसको अंडरस्टैंड करना पड़ेगा कि शौहर के ऊपर कितने स्ट्रेसेस और प्रेशर्स होते हैं बाहर कमाने के। तो दोनों पार्टीज़ के दिल में जब एक दूसरे के लिए प्यार, मोहब्बत और अंडरस्टैंडिंग आएगी तो फिर अपनी अना भी कम होगी, अपना गुस्सा भी कम होगा और बाहमी सुलह होगी। मगर अल्लाह ताला इन आयतों के थ्रू हमें ये भी बता रहे हैं कि अपने हर रिश्ते में इंसाफ के साथ चलो, अपने हर रिश्ते में इंसाफ कायम करो। मैंने ये भी बताया कि ज़माने जाहिलियत में अरब जो थे, जो प्री इस्लामिक कस्टम था, वो ये था कि औरत को बार बार छोड़ते थे और फिर बार बार शादी करते थे। तो इस्लाम ने जो 3 तलाक़ों का रूल है, इसमें अल्लाह ताला ने इस चीज़ को ख़त्म किया और लोगों को ये बताया कि नहीं, ये बात तो सही है कि लोग जज्बात में तलाक दे देते हैं, फिर रेकन्सिलिएशन चाहते हैं, तो इसकी 2 बार इजाज़त दी गई और तीसरी बार हतमी तलाक करार दी गई। तो अल्लाह ताला ने इस लॉ को रिवाइज़ किया औरतों के फेवर में। ये बहुत एक अच्छा लॉ था और इसके अंदर तस्फिये की गुंजाइश है, मगर इफ़ somebody is very irresponsible, keeps doing the divorce, then there is no recourse unless the lady remarries and then she can come back. So anyway, we have short time today. We had more people. I'm receiving messages and emails, and I think that we had a couple callers on the line. I'm sorry, we had a short time today because we could not start on time. The next topic, I'm getting a lot of calls on quarantine in Islam. So the next topic, the next show is going to be on quarantine. Unfortunately, COVID cases have gone up, I believe 23% or something. So the next topic will be quarantine. Do tune in to Understanding Faith every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and then in the night it's at 12 p.m. Inshallah, I will see you next week. And do not forget to send your sadaqah and khairat to Salahuddin Education Services. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.